but you want to boycott the one player, looking right at you, Angel Reese and Asia Wilson, one player that has caused the revenue to go way up in the monetary values. That's what you want to do. You think you're helping these women?
The NBA rivalry narrative has intensified. On one side, AJ Wilson and her supporters are allegedly encouraging fans to skip Caitlin Clark's games. On the other side, a large wave of new viewers, drawn to women's basketball because of Clark's popularity surge, are confused and questioning any effort to diminish her influence.
They're mad about 41 nationally televised games, and they are furious over it. I can't understand.
The league's popularity has reached new heights, with Fever games drawing packed arenas, ESPN increasing its WNBA coverage, and social media engagement around women's basketball surging like never before. However, instead of fully embracing this growth, some players and fan groups appear to be pushing back against it. This has led to speculation about a possible boycott movement, which some interpret as reflecting deeper tensions tied to fame, rivalry, and the evolving direction of women's sports.
Original fans, activist fans, that's what they are, all right? Just keeping it real. They don't like the fact that you want to watch these games. They don't like the fact that you are 3 or 4 times the amount of...
Have you been following what's happening in the WNBA right now? Fan debate is reaching new intensity over Caitlin Clark reportedly receiving 41 nationally televised games this season, more than any other player in the league. The situation has sparked major tension among fans and is creating unexpected divisions across the basketball community.
Here, Caitlin Clark in the Fever will have more nationally televised game than any NBA player this year. Sorry, LeBron. Sorry, Luka. Sorry, every other player in the league. Let's be honest. I've seen the NBA ratings. She's beaten most.
Some WNBA fans are reportedly discussing a boycott of Indiana Fever games in an attempt to reduce viewership numbers. It's a surprising and controversial development, with critics arguing that it stems from frustration over Caitlin Clark's heavy national spotlight. There are also claims that parts of the online media conversation are encouraging fans to avoid watching Fever games or rely on unofficial streams, further escalating the debate around attention, coverage, and fairness in how the league is being promoted.
So they're all mad right now, furious, and my goodness, guys, they're talking boycott. Oh, what? Oh, there's strength in numbers. There's tens of.
The numbers around Caitlin Clark's media exposure are drawing a lot of attention. She is reportedly set to appear on more nationally televised games this season than any other player in the NBA or WNBA, including major stars like LeBron James, Luka Doncic, and Stephen Curry. Supporters say this level of coverage is unprecedented for a rookie and reflects her massive impact on viewership, while others see it as a striking shift in how broadcast attention is distributed across basketball.
Yes, I understand. This is a very, very small minority. It is a very small minority of people, but it is a loud, vocal minority. And this is not the general public. This is not the general population.
For years, a small but loyal core of fans has driven conversations around the WNBA, consistently supporting the league even when mainstream attention was limited. Now, however, a surge of new viewers, many experiencing women's basketball for the first time, is changing the landscape, influencing everything from league dynamics to media focus, and which players receive the spotlight.
I'm not supposed to talk about it out loud, maybe. That's a massive part. Straight white girl is a big part of it, too. I mean, it's out loud. It's out loud. It just came out of my mouth like that. Just easy peasy. So they're mad, and they are calling for boycott.
When you look at the situation more closely, some argue the so-called boycott movement reveals a deeper and more uncomfortable reality. They claim a portion of longtime WNBA supporters would prefer to see lower viewership if it means Caitlin Clark doesn't dominate the spotlight, even if that could potentially slow the league's growth. At the same time, many media voices around the WNBA have pushed back on that interpretation, saying such calls come from a small minority and don't reflect the broader fan base or the league's overall direction.
The Slows are now planning to, quote, boycott Indiana Fever games to affect the viewership. They really think they matter in the big scheme of things.
What's happening here can be seen as a familiar pattern of gatekeeping. Longtime fans who once felt a strong sense of ownership over a relatively niche sport are now seeing it gain mainstream popularity, and some feel unsettled by the arrival of a large wave of new viewers.
Just mad. And what they have now trying to do is they are trying to boycott Indiana Fever games. I'm not joking when I say this. They are literally saying, boycott Indiana. We need to all boycott the Indiana Fever games so they don't get more national TV games. We don't get more national TV games next.
Critics of the boycott argue that it could end up being counterproductive. They point out that intentionally reducing viewership doesn't only impact Caitlin Clark, it could also harm the league as a whole and, ultimately, the financial opportunities for all players. From this perspective, any decline in audience interest might have wider consequences for the growth and stability of women's basketball, potentially affecting the entire ecosystem rather than just individual narratives.
Cannot believe it. And again, this is a minority of people, but the problem is the idiotic minority somehow have a lot of them somehow have ins with WNBA players, WNBA teams and stuff. I cannot believe.
When you look at the financial side of professional sports, some argue it becomes clear why this debate matters. They point out that before Caitlin Clark's rise, WNBA games often averaged around 200,000 viewers, while more recently that number has reportedly climbed past 1 million for certain games. From that perspective, this surge in attention isn't just a statistic. It translates into significantly increased revenue potential and broader financial opportunities across the league, affecting players, teams, and the overall growth of women's basketball.
Equivalent. Like, I just can't believe it. But they're reasoning for boycotting the Fever games. They're literally saying, we should illegally stream the games when the Fever play our team. And I'm like, one, you are not a big enough percentage of the population for it to have any effect.
The way it works is that WNBA salaries aren't set in isolation. They're closely connected to the league's media rights deals. These are major contracts signed with broadcasters like ESPN, ABC, and CBS to air games. The value of those deals is heavily influenced by viewership. When more people tune in, networks can generate more advertising revenue, which in turn can lead to higher payouts for broadcast rights and, indirectly, more money flowing into the league's overall financial structure.
All that does is harm the players. No matter who you are, what team you are a fan of, if you want the players to make more.
Right now, the WNBA is in the middle of negotiating its next media rights deal, and some argue that makes this a particularly sensitive moment for any talk of boycotts. Networks are closely watching the recent surge in viewership linked to Caitlin Clark and seeing those numbers as highly valuable. Because media rights deals are driven largely by audience size and advertising potential, higher ratings can translate into larger contracts in the future. From that perspective, the increased attention around certain games is being viewed as something that could elevate the league's overall financial position, including the salary structure for players across the board.
They're actively trying to ungrow the game. And it's madness. It's absolutely madness. Like, they're threatening to boycott the Fever games. All 257 of them threatening to boycott Fever games like it makes any difference. Like, these people are not fans of basketball. These people are actually not fans of the WNBA.
If you look at it from a media economics perspective, the argument is that games featuring Caitlin Clark are reportedly drawing several times more viewers than the league's previous averages. In theory, if that kind of sustained increase translates into higher overall ratings for the WNBA, it could strengthen the league's negotiating position in future broadcasting rights deals, since networks generally base what they pay on audience size and advertising potential. From that angle, this surge in attention is being framed as aligning with one of the league's long-term goals, expanding mainstream visibility and increasing the financial value of its media presence.
Just don't like Caitlin Clark. Like, this is genuinely, it's nothing to do with basketball. And it's nothing to do with Caitlin Clark, the person. There's no rhyme or reason to it, because I don't think there is a harder person to diss.
Games featuring Caitlin Clark are reportedly drawing significantly more viewers than the league's previous averages, sometimes 5 to 10 times higher. If that level of growth holds, it could increase the value of future broadcasting rights, since networks base their offers on viewership and advertising potential. This surge is exactly what the WNBA has long aimed for: greater mainstream attention and higher revenue for the league.